to the next point. We should ensure that whatever we say is clear.
That means work is being done. We can see that it is in opposite direction.
Hello, my students at home. I'm Abbas Shehu, your usual commerce teacher. Today we are going to have a look at a topic known as specialized financial institutions. But before then, we would like to continue what we started in our last class. That's talking about central bank. In our last class, we talked about what central bank is, the functions of central bank, ways by which central bank control commercial banks. We were about to talk about the differences between commercial bank and central bank when the time was short for us. So we are going to start from the differences between central bank and commercial banks. But before we go into that, let's quickly look at the whole thing we intend to cover during this class. We have one, differences between central bank and commercial banks. Two, we'll look at bank clearing house and its types. Then we go to meaning and types of specialized financial institutions. We'll look at development bank, merchant bank, mortgage bank, saving bank, then finally summarize and give you assignment. Now, looking at the differences between central bank and commercial banks, there are several differences. Well, let's look at 8 out of them. Number one, central bank does not accept deposits from the public. Central bank does not accept deposit from the public, meaning that central bank does not deal with the public. But commercial banks accept deposit from the public. Commercial banks accept deposit from the public. That's one difference. Number two, central bank formulates and executes monetary policies. Central bank formulates and executes monetary policies. Whereas commercial banks do not formulate monetary policies. They are only implementers of policies formulated by the central bank. Number three, the central bank is owned by the government. And we said in the last class that it is owned by the federal government. In terms of commercial banks, they are not owned by the government, but owned by private individuals, private businessmen and women. Number four, central bank is accountable to the federal government that established them. Central bank is accountable to the federal government. But commercial banks are accountable to their shareholders, to those that are owning the business. Number six, central bank is responsible for issuing of currency. Central bank is responsible for one, the production of the currency, as well as distributing or making it to go around in terms of the nation, in terms of the country. It's responsible for making the currency to circulate. But in terms of commercial banks, they do not issue currency. They are not the ones in charge of producing the currency, in charge of distributing the currency. No, it is the central bank that will print it out and distribute. Another difference is the central bank is in charge of managing national debt. National debt. And we explained this in our last class, what it means as one of the functions of central bank. Commercial banks have nothing to do with national debt, have nothing absolutely to do with servicing of national debt. Number 7, in a country there is only one central bank. But commercial banks are numerous, are uncountable. The last one, but not the least, central bank, it is not a making profit financial institution, but commercial banks are there to make money. They are profit oriented. And that's just about talking about the differences between central bank and commercial banks. And with this, we have come to the end of central bank. We now move to the next item we have, which is a bank clearing house. Bank clearing house. A bank clearing house is a financial institution formed to facilitate exchange, which is a clearance of payments, securities, or derivatives transactions. Again, a clearing house is a financial institution formed to facilitate the exchange of payments, securities, or derivatives transactions. It is an intermediary between buyers and sellers of financial instruments. It is an agency or separate corporation of a future exchange responsible for setting trading accounts, clearing trades, collecting and maintaining margin monies, regulating delivery and reporting training data. It is an organization that transfers money between banks, originally to clear checks. In fact, their major work is to clear checks. If you remember, when we are talking about types of checks, we mentioned cross-check, which is normally given and be paid into the payer's account. It is not a check or type of check that is cashed through the counter. No, when a cross-check is given, the check is normally paid into the account of the payee. Now, before the check is being paid into the account of the payee, the check must be cleared. And that's why we have what is known as clearing house, where all checks of such nature will be sorted out for banks to know where to put money belonging to Mr. A or Mr. B. From one bank to another, all the checks must be cleared before payment can be made. And that's why when you put it, or so when somebody issues you with a cross check, before the money is being paid into your account, it normally takes 3 working days. The 3 working days are the days that are normally used by the banks to sit and clear the checks. And they do so through what is known as bank clearing house. Now, having talked about what it means by bank clearing house, the next thing we are going to talk about is types of bank clearing house. And there are 3 of them. We have the first one known as local clearing house, number 2 known as head office clearing house, and the third, bankers clearing house. Now, the first one, which is local clearing house, is a type of clearing house that takes care of clearance of checks among various banks in the same town or city. All large towns have their local clearing houses where representatives of the various banks in the town meet together each day to clear checks. It is called local because it has to do with a particular town where all banks in that particular town or city come together to clear checks. And that's why it is given the name local. Then we have the second one known as head office clearing house. This undertakes to settle checks drawn by customers of a bank from different branches. And when we talk about branches, we're talking about different places, not a particular town. A bank will sit to clear the checks that are issued to different branches. This involving only one bank. The bank will sit and collect the checks that are issued to all the branches that are likely found within a particular town or even a particular city, or even a particular state. Then we have the last one, which is known as Bankers Clearing House. It is the place where ultimate clearance and settlement of checks is carried out in a country. So this is talking about the whole country. It is not about a town or branches of a particular bank. No, it's talking about all the country. All banks in the country will come together to sort out checks drawn on each other. The final settlement is through check drawn on the central bank. That's talking about the ties of bank clearing house. Now we go to other aspects to do with financial institutions that we refer to as specialized financial institutions. What are specialized financial institutions? Specialized financial institutions are financial institutions that specialize in an aspect of financial activities for which they were established. They include development bank, mortgage bank, savings bank, so on and so forth. Now we are going to take a look at them one by one. We are, like I said, going to look at them one by one. We'll first of all look at the first one, which is a development bank. Development bank. What is development bank? A development bank is a specialized financial institution which provides long-term credit or loan to other enterprises for capital projects. This is a bank that is known for giving out loans that are to be paid over a long period of time, usually 10 years and above. And it is normally given this. It normally gives out this loan in order to finance capital projects that require huge amount of money. A bank is formed, established by the government in most cases in order to provide finance to people who want to carry out projects that are requiring large amount of money. They provide long-term loans for projects in areas of agriculture, commerce, industry, gas, oil and gas, so on and so forth. This is what you call development bank. Now let's look at functions of development bank. There are primary functions. Number one, provision of funds for capital projects. Just like we mentioned, they provide funds for capital projects. And when we talk about capital projects, we're talking about projects that require huge amount of money, like building of rail lines, building of airports, building of schools. All these are considered as capital projects. Number two, they also provide manpower development. They provide manpower development. I have just mentioned school when I was talking about capital projects. Of course, schools serve as a ground for training or providing manpower in different fields. So they build schools and provide finance in order to get people that will be out to work. Different fields, different skills. Number three, implementation of government policies. They implement government policies. When government make policies, development banks are there to make sure that these policies are implemented by providing loans. If, for instance, the government is saying that there is need for industries to be developed, this type of bank will provide loans to industries so as to develop, so as to boost their production, so as to expand their scope of activities. Now, of course, we have they render special advice. Sometimes when they give loans to you, they advise you on certain things that will make you to actually utilize the loans collected fully. So they provide special advice. Number 5, for submission of development projects. When they give you loans, they carry out supervision to make sure that, because before the loan is given, of course you have to, before you are given a loan, you have to provide a blueprint of what you want to do with the loan. And by the time the loan is given to you, they will supervise and see whether you are in the right direction, whether you are implementing what the loan is collected for, whether you are using the money for what it is collected for. That's talking about supervision. The last one we have here, they undertake research. They carry out research in different fields. For example, in the labor market, they can carry out research to find out what or which areas need so kind of workers. By so doing, they now begin to plan on how to provide schools, loans for building schools, so that the manpower needs can be met. That's talking about the functions of our development bank. Now we are done with the development bank. We are going to the next specialized financial institution, which is a merchant bank. This is the bank, or this is a financial institution that performs specialized functions such as acceptance of bills of exchange, issuance of new shares, provision of medium and long-term loans. They also provide medium and long-term loans. But in case of the development bank, they provide only long-term loans. But these provide loans that are in short period of time, that are to be paid within a short period of time, and as well as long period of time. They are referred to as acceptance house. An example of the merchant bank is what you call Merchant Bank of Africa, First City Merchant Bank, International Merchant Bank, etc. Now, what are their functions? Number 1, discounting bill of exchange. 2, arranging loans to foreign traders. 3, advise. They also serve as advisors to companies, because they give loans to companies to carry out their businesses. So they also advise them on what to do, so as to actually have the ability to pay back the loan collected. They provide long-term loans too. They give out what is known as trust management. They provide, again, corporate management, loan syndicate, acceptance of large deposits, as well as equipment leasing. These are the functions of a merchant bank. Now, let's look at the differences between merchant banks and commercial banks. 1, in terms of merchant banks, they provide medium and long-term loans. But in terms of commercial banks, they provide short-term loans. And when we talk about short-term loans, we're talking about loans which are to be repaid within the period of less than 5 years. But long-term loans are those that exceed 10 years, from 10 years and above. Another difference is in terms of merchant banks, they render what you call corporate finance services, for example, management of investment portfolios. But in terms of our commercial banks, they render personal services such as safekeeping of money and other valuables. Number 3, merchant banks undertake equipment leasing, but commercial banks do not carry out equipment leasing. Number 4, the last one, merchant banks, they accept large deposits. But in terms of commercial banks, they accept deposits from all categories of people. But this accept only large deposits. If you are not taking large deposits to them, they don't accept. But in terms of commercial banks, whether it is big or small, they accept. Let's talking about that. Now we go to the next specialized financial institution, which is a mortgage bank. These are banks that are known for granting loans to individuals and corporate bodies for building matters. Their own is to provide loans to individuals or corporate bodies that are interested in building houses in most cases. Such loans are repaid by installments and can be spread over several years. So mortgage banks, when they give loan that is in long time nature, that can be paid within a very long period of time. Then what are their functions? Number one, they accept deposits too. In fact, most of them, before the loans are given to you, you are expected to make what is known as initial deposits. You make initial deposits. Then provision of long-term loans. They provide loans that are of long-term nature. Number three, development of mortgage institutions. And number five, they give advice on housing matters because they are housing experts. Lastly, they provide houses. Sometimes they can buy the house and give it to you as loan. Sometimes they build the house for you and you take as loan, depending on the agreement. Now we go to the last one, which is a savings bank. Savings banks are financial institutions that are set up to encourage saving habits among the people and to help mobilize funds for financial development programs of the government. Just like the name implies, savings. They are just established to encourage people to save. Because in every economy, for the economy to develop, there must be savings. It is after you save that you'll be able to invest. And it is when you invest that you can have production activities taking place here and there, which will automatically lead to the boosting of the general economy. So the savings banks are banks that are there established in order to make people, to encourage people to save. As simple as A, B, C, D. And that's just about savings bank. And we go now to the last aspect of this class, which is a summary. In this class, we were able to discuss the differences between central bank and commercial banks. We have mentioned and explained 8 differences that exist between the two of them. We equally talk about what we mean by bank clearing house and the types of bank clearing house that we have. Not only that, we're able to bring out other specialized financial institutions. That is talking about the development bank, merchant bank, mortgage bank, and savings bank, and discuss about them. And that's just what we are able to discuss as far as this class is concerned. Now, before we go, we would like to give you assignment as usual. And the assignment consists of only 3 questions. Only 3 questions. Number 1, mention any 5 functions of development banks. Again, mention any 5 functions of development banks. 2, describe any 4 differences between merchant banks and commercial banks. Again, describe any 4 differences between merchant banks and commercial banks. The last one, that's number 3. List and explain 4 functions of mortgage bank. List and explain any 4 functions of mortgage bank. For your reference, you can contact the following books. Number 1, Essential Commerce for Senior Secondary Schools by O.A. Longe. Number 2, Comprehensive Commerce for Senior Secondary Schools by GU Anyele. For your references, you can contact any of these books or all of them or even more. Now, for your submission of assignment, you can reach me through this number, Abbas Shehu 081 00127 508. Again, Abbas Shehu on 081 00127 508. Stay safe. Keep learning. Have a nice time. See you in our next class. Thank you for being here.